நீயே உண்மை பொருளும் நீயே உந்தன் அருள் ஜோதியே எங்கும் ஒளி வீசவே இந்த புவியோர்க்கு அருள் செய்வாயே இயேசு என்றாலும் நீயே இயேசு என்றாலும் நீயே எங்கள் அல்லாஹ் நீயே உலகில் எல்லாம் நீயே எங்கள் உள்ளத்து தெய்வம் நீயே ஓங்காரநாதம் நீயே உண்மை பொருளும் நீயே உந்தன் அருள் ஜோதியே எங்கும் ஒளி வீசவே இந்த புவியோர்க்கு அருள் செய்வாயே அறியாமை இருள் நீக்கியே அகங்கார வெளி போக்கியே தூய அன்புதனை உள்ள பண்புதனை எம்மில் நிலைத்தோங்க செய்திடுவாய் ஓங்காரநாதம் நீயே உண்மை பொருளும் நீயே உந்தன் அருள் ஜோதியே எங்கும் மொழி வீசவே இந்த புவியோர்க்கு அருள் செய்வாயே இந்த புவியோர்க்கு அருள் செய்வாயே இந்த புவியோர்க்கு அருள் செய்வாயே.
Thank you, sisters, for a spiritual prayer song. Finally, the most awaited day is here. We, the Department of Chemical Engineering of Power Engineering College, are proud to welcome you all to this grand online session. On this special day, we have planned to conduct a webinar in the topic of design and industrial application of heat exchangers. Now, I would like to invite S. Nishalini from second year chemical department to welcome the gathering.
Each day is a day of decision, and our decision determines our destiny. Wishing you a very warm good morning. We are so glad for all your presence today. I hope this event gonna be very great and useful. Hope everyone will make use of this. As I look at the dignitaries, I am in awe with the collected expertise gathered here. We are deeply honored to welcome you. It is my honor to welcome our respected chairman, Sir Sri N.V. Natarajan, who is the persistent source of inspiration for all our activities. Welcome you, sir. A man with dreams needs a woman with vision. We're glad to welcome our correspondent, ma'am, Srimati Mangai Natarajan. We welcome you, ma'am. On behalf of our institution, we extend a warm welcome to our chief guest, Dr. M. Rajasimhan, Professor, Department of Chemical Engineering, Annamalai University, Chidambaram, who spared his valuable time with us. We welcome you, sir. It's my pleasure to welcome our principal, sir, Dr. Prem Kumar. We welcome you, sir. I extend our cordial welcome to the head of the Chemical Engineering Department, Dr. G. Srinivasan, sir. Welcome you, sir. I would also like to welcome all the faculty members in the Department of Chemical Engineering, Food Technology, and Pharmaceuticals, staff coordinators, student coordinators, participants, and all those who have gathered here. Once again, I welcome you all.
Thank you, Nishalini, for a warm welcome. I would like to welcome Ms. Priya from second year to know the successful journey of our respected chief guest.
On behalf of our institution, I extend a warm welcome to our chief guest, Dr. M. Rajasimhan, Professor, Department of Chemical Engineering, Annamalai University, Chidambaram. He completed his BE, ME, and PhD Chemical Engineering at Annamalai University. He has teaching experience of 23 years, 9 months till November 2021. His area of specialization includes inverse fluidization, wastewater treatment, bioreactor, optimization, emulsion liquid membrane, and adsorption. He has published 45 research papers in international journals. Also, he had guided 20 master degree students and 7 PhD holders. For his sincere works and efforts, he has received Best Researchers Award during the year of 2016 to 2017, Young Research Award during the year 2017 to 2018 from Annamalai University. Glad to welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Priya, for a wonderful intro. Now, the session is handed over to our respected chief guest.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Yes, sir. It's body, sir.
Shall we start?
Yes, sir. You can start the session.
Okay. Okay. First of all, I would like to thank the authorities of Power Engineering College, especially to Dr. G. Srinivasan, head of the Department of Chemical Engineering, and co-convener Dr. R. Praveen Kumar, who is the head of the Department of Pharmaceutical Technology, for providing me this opportunity. Actually, this session, I have planned to deliver lecture on design and construction details of heat exchangers. After preparation, I conclude that it is in two parts. So first, to start with, I will see the basics of heat exchangers and then construction details. And I also came to know that the audience are from both from chemical engineering and also from food technology. And also it's a mixture of second, third year and final year students. So in respect of second year and third year students, I will start with the basics of what are heat exchangers. Right. Heat exchanger, actually it is an equipment where the heat transfer occurs. Probably the final year students, they know very well about this. So the heat transfer occurs always from high temperature to lower temperature. So the mechanism, usually the heat transfer mechanism is conduction, convection, and radiation. In the heat exchanger, two modes of heat transfer occurs: conduction and convection. So you can see in the diagram the hot fluid. Usually this is a double pipe heat exchanger arrangement in which there are two pipes. In the inner side of the pipe, cold side flows, whereas on the outer side of inner pipe, hot fluid flows. So remember, the temperature heat transfer occurs always from high temperature to lower temperature. So the heat transfer occurs from hot fluid to cold fluid. So you can see the temperature is always transferred from hot fluid to cold fluid. So through the pipe wall, the mechanism of heat transfer is conduction, whereas in the fluid side, the heat transfer occurs by convection. So this is how heat transfer occurs in a heat exchanger. So before going to the construction details, we will see how the heat exchangers are classified. So there are a number of ways by which we can classify the heat exchanger. To start with, the first one is based on the transfer process. That is, we call it as direct contact type or indirect contact type. Direct contact means there will be a direct contact between the fluids, the hot and cold fluid. So that can be further divided into immersible fluids, gas, liquid, liquid, vapor. Whereas in indirect contact type, there will be a what we call it as wall between or separator between hot and cold fluid. So this is further classified into direct transfer type, storage type, and fluidized bed. So in the direct transfer type, it is further classified into single phase or multi-phase. Single phase means it may be liquid or gas, something like that. Multi-phase more than one phase is involved. And then second classification is based on the number of fluids involved. So it may be two fluid, hot and cold fluid, sometimes three fluids, sometimes more than three fluids. We call it as N fluids. Coming to the another classification, the surface compactness. So the compactness, which is measured by area density, we usually call it as beta. It is nothing but the ratio of heat transfer surface area to the heat exchanger volume. When this beta value is more than 700 meter square per meter cube, then we call it as compact type. So actually it is divided into two groups. One is heat transfer occurs from gas to fluid. The fluid may be either gas or liquid Another one is liquid, and if there is any phase change operation. So based on these two, the compact ratio varies. So for gas to fluid, when the beta value is more than 700 meters square per meter cube, it is called as compact type. When it is less than 700, then it is called as non-compact. Whereas coming to the liquid side, when the beta value is more than 400 meters square per meter cube, then we can call it as compact type. Whereas if it is less than 400 meters square per meter cube, then it is non-compact. This is one way we can classify the heat exchangers. Another way is based on its construction. Mostly we know about these things, that is based on construction only. That is tubular heat exchanger, plate type heat exchanger, extended surface heat exchanger, and then regenerative heat exchanger. So regeneration means it is always used for the recovery of heat, that is after process. So those equipments we generally call it as regenerative equipments. Coming to the classification construction, tubular types, we have double pipe, shell and tube heat exchanger, spiral tube heat exchanger, pipe coils. Again, these shell and tube heat exchangers are classified into cross flow and parallel flow to the tubes. Whereas coming to the plate type, we have plate type heat exchanger, spiral, plate coil, printed circuit. Another, again, the plate heat exchanger is this plate heat exchanger further classified into gasketed, welded, brace. These are all based on the joints available in the plate type heat exchangers. So based on the flow of fluid within the heat exchanger, this is classified again into two groups. One is single pass, another one is multi-pass. Single pass means the fluid enters into the either shell side or tube sides, and it leaves the shell or tube on the other side. That is called a single pass. If you return the fluid within the tube or shell side, then it is called as multi-pass. So based on the single pass and multi-pass, this is classified into different flows: counter flow, parallel flow, cross flow, split flow, and divided flow. So counter flow means, most of you know, when the fluid flows in opposite direction, we call it as counter flow. That is, if hot fluid flows from one side to the other side and the cold fluids enters on the other side where the cold fluid, hot fluid leaves, then we call it as counter flow. In the parallel flow, both the fluids flows in the same direction. In cross flow, one fluid flows parallelly and another one flows perpendicularly. That is called as cross flow. So we will see in the next slides. That will give you a better idea. And then one more classification is there, which is based on the heat transfer mechanism. That is a single phase convection. Single phase convection.
ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಸರ್.
Srinivasan?
Slide change ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಸರ್.
Slide change ಆಗಲ್ಲ. Ipo, now?
No sir.
Now is
Sir,
it
now
okay?
it's okay. Now it's okay, sir. Continue, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So based on heat transfer mechanism, this is further classified into single phase convection on one side and both sides, and then two phase convection on both sides. So single side means on one side of fluid flow, whereas both sides mean on inside and also outside the tubes. So this is called as this is one of the one way of classifying the heat exchangers. Right. Now Coming to the application side, so these are the heat exchangers which are widely used in industries. Shell and tube heat exchanger, double pipe, plate type, finned tubes, spiral wound, reboilers, vaporizers, evaporators, or generally we call it as direct or indirect type. So these are the types of heat exchangers which are widely used in industries nowadays. Coming to the use of where it is used, heat exchangers are used in wherever you find the uh, when you want to heat the fluid or heat the flow of fluid or streams, whatever it may be, or if you want to cool the product stream which leaves from the reactor, so there we can use these heat exchangers to reduce the heat of the fluid, and it can also be used to preheat the raw materials which enters into the reactors. So for in chemical reactors, it is widely used. For preheating feeds also we can use. In the distillation column, reboilers, condensers, heat exchangers are used, and also in dryers, evaporators, crystallizers, uh, for dissolving solutions, and for if you want, as I said earlier, if you want to remove any type of heat is present in the product stream, it should be uh, removed by the heat exchanger. So these are the places where the heat exchangers are used, right? So based on the what you call properties of the solution, and our requirement, process requirement, the types of heat exchanger is usually selected or designed for the particular process. So before going to the selection of heat exchangers, we will see one by one the type of heat exchangers. So the first one is double pipe heat exchanger. This is very simple in construction. As you can see, there are two pipes. So this is pipe number one, and this is pipe number two. So the pipe two houses the pipe one. So inside the pipe one, the hot water flows, whereas the outside, the inside pipe, the cold water flows. You can see the direction. Hot water enters one side and it leaves on the other side. Similarly, the cold water, which enters on one side and leaves on the other side, right? So during this, what you called process, the heat from the hot fluid is transferred into the cold fluid through the metal wall. So this can be arranged both in parallel or counter current operation. Mostly counter current operation is preferred, which gives more efficiency when compared to parallel flow. The advantages of why should we go for double pipe heat exchanger? So the advantages are, it is very simple in construction, and also it is very easy to clean. So during the what you called heat transfer process, during the course of the operation, after some period of time, there will be formation of what you call the fouling or scaling inside the tubes. So that will reduce the heat transfer efficiency. So it should be cleaned periodically in order to maintain the process efficiency or heat transfer efficiency or heat transfer rate, whatever it may be. So the periodically cleaning should be done based on the scale formation. So the cleaning is very easy as far as double pipe is concerned, and also it has excellent capacity for thermal expansion. Thermal expansion means we know that if you increase the temperature of the hot fluid, so there may be a change in the property of the fluid, that is volume or density or viscosity. So this may changes. These are all called as, these property we called as thermal expansion. So this double pipe heat exchanger, which can accommodate these kind of changes within the fluid during the course of the heat transfer process. Also, since it's very simple in construction, if you want to extend or modify anything, it is very easy. Because when you go for other type of heat exchangers, those are all highly complicated in designs. So addition or extension is highly difficult in those heat exchangers. And then you can see the replacement parts. So it is simply a pipe. So it is inexpensive and also it is very easy. So cost wise also it is very cheap. So these are the advantages. Coming to the disadvantage part. So it requires a special gasket in order to prevent the leakages on the sites while entering and leaving the fluids. And also this is limited to low heat duties. That is, if you want to what do you call it? The amount of heat transfer or the rate of heat transfer, if you want to only a slight uh, transfer in heat is required, then we can go for double pipe heat exchanger. Disadvantage, cross flow is not possible, only parallel or counter flow is possible. Then coming to the shell and tube heat exchanger. So this is a type of heat exchanger which is widely used in industries. Almost in all the chemical or special allied industries, these shell and tube heat exchangers are widely used because it has several advantages when compared to other type of heat exchangers. So even though its configuration is little bit complicated, but it gives you good surface area because the heat transfer, the rate of heat transfer usually written as Q. This is the amount of heat transfer. This is we found out in terms of UA delta T or MCP delta derivative UA delta T. So this U is nothing but heat transfer coefficient, delta T change in the temperature, and A is the heat transfer area. So the amount of heat transfer, rate of heat transfer is directly proportional to the heat transfer area. So if you have more area, then the rate of heat transfer will be more. So in order to provide more heat transfer area, we are going for the shell and tube heat exchanger. Whereas in double pipe heat exchanger, the amount of area available for the rate of heat transfer is less. So that is why most of the industries, they are going for shell and tube heat exchangers, right? Then it is operated for high pressure operations. We will see one by these points we will discuss later. Okay, so these are the advantages of shell and tube heat exchanger. This can be constructed from wide range of materials. Cleaning is also easy, and it has many suppliers, and design methods and mechanical sorts are established. You can see the maximum pressure operating pressure in a shell and tube is in a shell side. We have two sides that we will discuss in the next slides. On the shell sides, we can operate up to 300 bar, whereas on the tube sides, we can go up to 1400 bar. Similarly, for the temperature, we can go 600 degree, maximum of 600 degree, we can go in the shell and tube heat exchanger. So this will give you an idea of how the fluid flows inside the heat exchanger, shell and tube heat exchanger. You can see the dark color, black color. This is the flow of fluid. So this may be either hot fluid or cold fluid. So the selection, the fluid selection is depends on us, which will be discussed in the last slide. Okay, right. Whereas the other fluid, this dark fluid, this is flows inside the shell, right? Inside the shell, outside the tubes. Whereas the other fluid that will enters into the tube. So that will flow into the tube. Okay. Actually, this on the heat exchanger is divided into two sides. On the top side, tube sides, the fluid enters the tube sides here. It flows like this, and you can see on the other side it has a U bend where the fluid comes here and leaves at the bottom. So this is how the fluid inside the tube goes. So during the passage, if the fluid is hot fluid is on the tube side, the heat transfer occurs from tube side to the shell side fluid. Right. Coming to the 1 shell and tube heat exchanger. So there should be number. You can see the numbers, right? 1 and then 1 2. So this first one indicates the number of flows inside the shell side, whereas the second number indicates the number of flow or number of passages of flow in the tube side. Here 1 shell tube means the fluid enters on one side. You can see here shell side entrance is here, it enters here and flows this side, and this is the shell side outlet. Okay, whereas coming to the tube side, it enters here, it goes and then it leaves here. So the passage is, it enters one side and leaves the other side. So it flows only one time within the shell or tube. So that is why it is called as 1 shell and tube heat exchanger. And this is parallel flow heat exchanger. Sorry, counter flow heat exchanger. Coming to the next type, this is called as tri-tube heat exchanger, where you can see that this is also 1 heat exchanger. Tube side fluids enters here and it flows and it comes out here, whereas shell side fluid comes here and it flows and comes out here. This is also 1 shell and tube heat exchanger. Coming to the 1 shell and tube heat exchanger, here the difference is, you can see on the shell side, this is for shell side, one passage, one time only it passage. So it enters, you can see the shell side fluid, it goes and comes out here. Whereas on the tube side, it enters here, right? So there will be a partition on the off. So on the tube side, on the top of the reactor, it enters into the tubes, and then the other side, it comes down and leaves here. So the number of passages here 1 and this is 2. So that is why it is called as 1 shell and tube heat exchanger. This is also 1 tube heat exchanger, or sometimes it is called as U-tube heat exchanger, where the fluid twice passed inside the shell. The next one is 2-4 shell and tube heat exchanger. Actually, this is
Sir, good morning, sir.
Yes.
Hello.
Sorry to interrupt. I am Murali, professor for chemical engineering department.
Yes, sir.
I have a question, sir. Please explain the baffles or application of baffles.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Later we have these kind of baffles, tie rods, etc. We have this, sir.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So this 2-4 shell and tube heat exchanger is widely used. Actually, widely used. You can see 2 means this is shell side and 4 means this is tube side passage. So from this diagram, you can see that the number of passage for tube side, there is 4 passages. You can see fluid enters here. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. So it flows 4 times, whereas on the tube sides, shell side, you can see this fluid comes here and it goes to it goes here and then it goes here. So only 2 passages. So 2 passage on the shell side, 4 passage on the tube side. So what is the purpose of increasing the number of passages? That is a question may be asked, right? When you increase the number of passages, the amount of heat transfer will be more. That is, area exposed will be more, so the Q will be more. So if you want to get desired rate of heat transfer, you have to increase the number of passes. Remember, if you increase the number of passes, the constructional cost, operational cost will also increases. So it should be optimum. The number of passages should be optimum. Right. Coming to the components. So these are the main components in a heat exchangers. One is head, gasket, baffles, mounting, tubes, tube sheets, and then these are all connectors. So to fluid enter and leaves, we have connections on shell side, right? The shell is a one which houses all the tubes and all the components, right? The tube side, you can see this is the tube side in which the tubes are mounted. You can see here, all the tubes are mounted on the tube side, tube sheet. So these are the main components of a heat exchanger. If you want to see the number of components, you can see around 37 components are there in total, right? If you want to see all the name of the components, you can go through the Chemical Engineering Paris handbook, in which the names of all these components are available, 39 components. So this is the total number of components, of which we have 7 or 8 important components are there. So as per TEMA technology, TEMA, which is called as Tubular Exchange Manufacturers Association, we have a front end and a rear end and a shell. So the entire heat exchanger is divided into 3 sections, which is given as AEL. 3 letters are given, AEL. A represents the front end, E is shell side, and L is rear head side. Right. First, we will see head. So the head is, it may be a front end or rear end type. So for front end we have 5 designs, and for rear end we have 8 designs. You can see the types of heads. So these are the 5 heads. Front heads are available. So depending upon the process and our requirement, we can choose any one of these head. We can choose it for heat exchanger. Coming to the shell types, we have these kind of types. This is for 1 pass shell side, 2 pass shell side, split flow, double split flow, divided flow, kettle flows. These things we will see one by one, right? And these are all rear head types. Right. Coming to the most, what we call as the important component of your shell and tube heat exchanger is shell and tube. First, shell. So this must be designed to withstand the process conditions, mostly pressure and temperature. I think we have seen the temperature, maybe we can go up to 600 degree. So if you want to carry out the high pressure and high temperature operation, then we have to select the materials of construction based on this temperature and pressure. These are the foremost thing. And then the properties of the fluid, whether it is corrosive nature or not. So these things should be considered for the selection of materials during the design of shells. So as we see earlier, the shell side can be classified into single pass, double pass, split flow, double split flow, divided flow, crash flow, etc. Right, coming to the tube side. So these tubes may be plain or finned. Actually, plain tubes or finned tubes are used to enhance the heat transfer. So that is why fins are used. Normally, we use plain types. You can see these are all plain type tubes, and this is finned type. You can see the diagram here. This is done to promote the or to increase the rate of heat transfer in certain cases. But in fins, cleaning is highly difficult. That is one of the important things. Like coming to the interior arrangement of shell and tube heat exchanger, you can see the diagram, tube arrangement, how the tubes are arranged inside the shell, right? So this is called as tube sheet, right? The first one is called as tube sheet, and these are all baffles. We will see one by one. Coming to the tube arrangement, how the tubes are arranged within the shell side, that is very important. So the arrangement may be, the first case is, it may be triangular, or we can say triangular pitch, square type, or rotated square. You can see the diagram. Triangular means this is one tube and this is one tube, this is one tube, right? So this is called as triangular pitch arrangement. Pitch is nothing but it is the distance between center of the two tubes. You can see PT. This is the pitch, which is nothing but the distance between center of the two tubes, right? Coming to the square type arrangement, this is how the tubes are arranged in a square type pattern. And then this is slightly rotated, around 45-degree rotations will be done. So this is one of tube side arrangement. Coming to the other side, we have two passes means, so this will be the arrangement. This is for one pass, this is for second pass. For four passes, you can see the arrangements 1, 2, 3, 4. This is further divided into 4 segments within the shell for six tube passes. So this is for first pass, second pass, third pass, fourth pass, fifth pass, sixth pass. This is how the tubes are arranged. You can see the arrangement. That is from one end view. This is called as end view of the tube arrangement, and this is triangular arrangement. The pitch is, you can see, this is arranged in a triangular pattern. So if the pitch is arranged in a square pattern, then we can call it as square pattern. So in a triangular, the angle is 30-degree or 60. Both arrangements can be made. Coming to the square pitch, and this is rotated square pitch. This is 45-degree rotated when compared to square pitch. Usually, we call it as 1-inch tube on 1 into 1/4 inch. We call it as something like that. 1-inch tube on 1 into 1/4, which means the diameter of the tube will be 1 inch and the pitch distance is 1.25 inches. That is the center distance. So the center distance will be 1.25 inches, of which the tube diameter will be 1 inch. So this is the normally used or standard size used in a shell and tube. And of course, sometimes 0.75 inch on 1 inch pitch. That is the diameter of tubes will be 0.75 inches and the pitch distance will be 1 inch. So how will you select whether it is a triangular or square pitch? So based on, again, it is based on our requirement. If you want to accommodate more number of tubes, which will give you more heat transfer surface area, then within a less space, we can achieve more heat transfer area. In that case, we can go for triangular pitches. So triangular pitches can hold a lot of tubes inside the given shell. Whereas if you want to, if the fluid used is a what we call the fouling occurs frequently, means then we have to do the cleaning frequently. So in that cases, square pitch is preferred because cleaning is very easy in square pitch when compared to triangular pitch. So based on these two criteria, we have to select the triangular or square pitch. Coming to the tube sheet arrangement, so this may be either fixed or floating, single or double. Based on the fluid used, the tube sheets are used. Usually the tube sheets are the whole are made by rolling, welding, or sometimes both. So if the tube sheet is welded, then it is called as fixed. If it is not welded, then we call it as floating. So I have to show the tube sheets. So this is tube sheets in which the tubes are mounted. Here you can see that it is welded. So if it is welded means then it is called as fixed head. So baffles, actually baffles are provided. You can see these are all called as baffles. Baffles are provided to obstruct the flow of fluid. By obstructing the flow of fluid, we are increasing the residence time of the fluid. Thereby the heat transfer or the rate of heat transfer Q increases. So our main aim is to increase the rate of heat transfer. That is one aspect. Second aspect is also it holds the tubes, because we are having the tubes is so much, the length of the tube will be around 20 feet or 40 feet. So we have to hold the tubes, otherwise it may bend or broken during the course of the operation after certain period of time. So these are the purpose of baffles. So one is to direct the shell side fluid. The important thing, one of the word we will be using is baffle spacing or baffle pitch. You can see these are all, this is baffle, this is second baffle, this is third baffle, right? So actually it is semicircle form, it is cutted. So this is called as we are using a term baffle spacing or baffle pitch. This is nothing but the distance between the two baffles, right? Two adjacent baffles, center of the two adjacent baffles are called as baffle pitch or baffle spacing. And the cut, this is cut, no, this is called as baffle cut. So usually the baffle spacing is 1/5 to 1 times the inside diameter of the shell. We fix this based on the shell side diameter. 1 times or shell diameter divided by 5 times. So this is how the baffle spacing is fixed. There are two types of baffles. One is plate type, another one is rod type. You can see the two types, and this is rod type. This is plate type, right? You can see in the plate type, single segmental baffle. Single segmental means, so the baffles are the block lines. This is first baffle, second, third. Double segmental means there will be baffle top and bottom, and the next one will be at the center, and then again top and bottom, and then center. So it will go like this. So this is called as double segmental baffles. Whereas when you come to triple segmental baffles, you can see center, and then it goes like this. So these kind of baffles are provided to enhance, the ultimate aim is to enhance the rate of heat transfer. And this is window segmental baffles. So window means there will be no tubes on these sides, the window sides. These are all baffles. This is baffle, and there will be no tubes on the window sides. So this is called as baffle cut. You can see this is called as baffle cut. Usually, the baffle cut may be in the range of 20 to 25% of the total size or total diameter. So that is very important, right? So usually it is 25%. So based on the fluid, it should be 20 to 25%. So the cut may be like this. Either it may be horizontal or vertical. So that depends on the flow. I think there is some disturbance. Somebody is switched on. Please switch off the microphone. Somebody is switched on. Okay, thank you. So coming to the importance of baffle cut, right? You can see if the baffle cut is made small, say for example 10% or 15%, right? What happens? You can see this is baffle cut. Very small cut means this is small cut, right? So the fluid enters here and flows it like this. So there may be a lot of eddies, baffles, right, which may occur. And also we can say that these are all called as dead zones. So the heat transfer efficiency will drastically goes down, right? Similarly, when it comes to larger baffle cut, if the baffle cut is very large, you can see the flow may be like this. So here also the eddies and dead zone occurs. So again the heat transfer rate goes down. So in order to have very good heat transfer rate, you should have here optimum baffle cut. So this optimum baffle cut, you can see the flow should be like this. So this is what we call it as ideal baffle cut. And also the spacing, the baffle spacing, this should be also ideal. It should not be very close or very large. And as you see, these are the types of baffles. This is segmental baffles. This is disc and dognut baffles, and these are all orifice baffles. So these are different types of baffles arrangement within the shell and tube reactor. So these segmental baffle supports the tubes. They are evenly spaced. So horizontal baffles, they are used in clean service. That is why we are going for horizontal baffles. Sometimes we use impingement baffles. They are used to protect the tubes from the direct fluid impact. When the fluid enters at a high pressure, so if it hits the what do you call tubes, the tubes may be exposed to high pressure. It may lead to breakage. So in order to prevent this, the impingement baffles are provided at the end at the inlet of the heat exchangers. So tie rods, actually these tie rods keep the baffle in place and evenly spaced. So the hole in the baffle plate is 1/64 inches larger than the tube's outside diameter. You can see how small it is when compared to the tube's outside diameter. So these are the important aspects of components of shell and tube heat exchanger. Coming to the other type, plate type heat exchanger, you can see there will be one plate and one frame alternatively. So one side hot fluid flows, and then the other side the cold fluid flows, right? So that the heat transfer occurs. So this is also frequently used next to shell and tube and double pipe heat exchanger. Plate type heat exchangers are used. You can see how the fluid flows. The violet color indicates the hot fluid direction, whereas the green color indicates the cold fluid indication. And also there is one more fluid, blue color, right? So this is for three fluids, flow of three fluids. This is plate type fin heat exchanger. When fins are provided, you can see this is not a normal plate. This is fin type plate. So in order to provide larger surface area, we are using the fin as we used in double pipe or in shell and tube heat exchanger. Here also the fins are employed to improve the rate of heat transfer. The spiral type heat exchanger, you can see it's a spiral. Tubes are arranged in spirals. One, this is hot fluid enters, and this is cold fluid enters, right? So both are flows in opposite direction, and this is the fluid, cold fluid out. This is hot fluid out. So these are all not widely used, but for some specific cases, we will be going for these kind of spiral heat exchangers. Right. One of the most important aspect of heat exchanger is after this baffle cut design and all, the selection of fluids. Based on which parameters we have to select the shell side fluid or tube side fluid. So first one, if you consider or if you take a corrosive fluid, which are corrosive in nature, so those kind of fluids should be taken inside the tubes, because the fluid is corrosive in nature, and if you want to frequently remove the components, it is better to use the fluid in tube side, so that we can replace the tubes frequently if it is corroded. Whereas if you allow that fluid in the shell side, it will affect both the shell and also the tube. So we have to change the entire heat exchanger. So in order to avoid that, it is better to go for shell side for corrosive nature of fluid. And also cleaning is very simple in tube side, whereas it is highly difficult in shell side. And then next one, high temperature. As I said earlier, if the fluid is very high in temperature, it is better to go for tube side, not shell side. Right? Both high pressure and high temperature fluid is available means then it is better to select the tube side, not the shell side. Because if anything may occur during the course of operation, say for example, due to high exposure, high pressure or temperature, if the tube is exploded, right, then what will happen? The tubes are surrounded by the shells, so it will not affect the environment. If you take the outer shell at high pressure, if it explodes, then definitely it has impact on the environment. So it is better always choose high pressure, high temperature fluid on the shell sides. If you consider viscosity of the fluid, right? So this the selection should be based on the our requirement. If you want to have more heat transfer, then we should have the viscous fluid on the shell side. If you want to have lower pressure drop, then we can use the viscous fluid on the tube side. So this is based on our only, right? And also the toxic fluid should go inside the tubes. That is also another thing. Then things with the flow rates typically go on the tube side. That is high flow rate fluid should be on the tube side. This is to increase the velocity and also turbulence. So these two can enhance the rate of heat transfer. Right. Coming to the high pressure schemes, as I said earlier, high pressure, high temperature should be placed on the tube sides. So this is how we have to select the fluid, whether it is tube side or shell side. So as far as heat exchanger is concerned, we should remember some points. So TEMA, Tubular Exchange Manufacturers Association, so they have the standard size of tubes, shells. If you want to manufacture a heat exchanger, so based on our requirement, after designing a heat exchanger for a particular work or for a particular problem, we can select the sizes from the TEMA. In a shell and tube, the tubes are arranged in a bundle manner, either in triangular pitch or in square pitch. The tubes, the size of the standard tubes are available in 8 feet, 12, 15, 20. Sometimes 40 feet tube size also available. So based on our requirement, we can choose these lengths. Similarly, shells are also available along with the baffles. Shells, baffles, tie rods, these are all available in markets. Then coming to the baffle cut, so it is the ratio of baffle window height to the shell diameter. The ideal value should be around 20 to 25%. So this plays vital role in the heat exchanger efficiency. Then coming to the pass, a pass is when liquid flows all the way across the exchanger from one end to the other end. Usually we have 1-2 exchanger, 1-4, 2-4, etc. Right? You can see when the number of passes on the shell side into 2 gives you the tube side flow. 1 into 2 or 1 into 4, 2 into 2 or 2 into 4, something like that. The tube and shell side arrangements are made, except one heat exchangers. So this is how, this is a simple heat exchanger is manufactured and transported from one place to other place. You can see how big it is. If you have a chance to visit an industry, you can go there, visit the heat exchanger equipments. When the cleaning process is undergoing, they are cleaning the heat exchanger, then it is a very good opportunity for you. You go inside the heat exchanger and you can see how the tubes are arranged inside the heat exchanger. It will be a good experience. Right. Thank you. If you have any queries or questions, I'm ready.
Students, any queries you can interact our resource person, Dr. Rajaram sir. They are ready to answer your doubts. Okay.
Students, if you have any queries, you can interact with our chief guest without hesitation.
ആൻസർ കിട്ടിയ
Okay. If you want any queries, you can interact our guest. Otherwise, the session will be wind up with a vote of thanks. Okay.
Good afternoon, all. I would like to express gratitude to all esteemed delegates of the webinar for their presence and contribution to make this webinar a great success. I extend my gratitude to our Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Raja Simon. I also thank our Chairman, Sir, Correspondent Ma'am, HODs, and faculty members for their guidance. And last but not least, I thank the organization, team, and participants. Thank you for everyone. Once again, for everyone to success.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Dr. G. Srinivasan and the authorities for giving me this opportunity, and hope that you all enjoyed this session. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation and deliver a wonderful lecture for that design and industrial application of with exchanger. So it's more helpful to our community. So once again, on behalf of Poway Engineering College, on my own behalf of the Department of Chemical Engineering, really thank you for our resource person, Dr. R. Rajamal sir, sir, Department of Chemical Engineering, Annamalai University, Chidambaram. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your wonderful presentation, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And thank you all students, those who are participated in this webinar. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Students, feedback link is posted in the chat box. Students, the session is over now. You can leave now. Thank you all.